by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
I say when we sell.
Wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. Friday, 26th of July. Could not have a better reaction to yesterday's move. That is absolutely perfect. Exactly what you want to see. So I mentioned this when you're zoomed out and you're looking at this consolidation that's starting to form. When we moved up, we left behind this area of demand around the 64k level. And I said, obviously you don't want to break much below here. And if we come down into that area, you'd like to see Bitcoin come down and do something like that before being able to move higher and hold a consolidation high and tight consolidation up here. Absolutely fucking perfect. To see that reaction could not be better. It's very, 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 very bullish sign. Shows a lot of demand. I talked about this yesterday when we were down at the lows. All right. So we spent most of yesterday morning down here. And then we got the GDP number, which caused some volatility initially, spiked down, then we spiked down again. And I talked about my intraday bias flipping from short to long because there was signs of strong demand below. You could see this if you're watching price action or looking at the order flow yesterday. 63, 64 last known strong support, and there's plenty of demand waiting below. So any spikes that were happening underneath, you could see price respecting it. And each time it would dip, I think there's one example here. Yeah. The Bitcoin being stronger than the S&P on the bounce and the demand being solid underneath. So the way you can see that is by overlaying both and put them on the same price scale, but zoom in on them around that time yesterday, and you can see here now this looks different. Let me see. There we go. So you had this initial reaction from the S&P and BTC from yesterday, and you can clearly see the difference. All right. So when the initial dump came, they obviously both dumped down. Bitcoin on the reaction rallied up much stronger. Bitcoin cleared out these 64.5k highs, while the S&P was still just trying to get back into range. Then Bitcoin continued higher, and the S&P caught up and pushed a little higher, but S&P retraced the entire move. Bitcoin didn't, and Bitcoin is now ripped further ahead. So we went through weeks where Bitcoin and crypto was weaker than stocks. We're now seeing the opposite. We're seeing a rotation back towards it. We're seeing some strength return, which is good. Nothing has changed now. Looking forward, what I want to see is more consolidation around this level here. Maybe it's just going to push straight on towards the highs, but I would prefer to see price consolidate within this area and move back down and fill in some of these gaps from below before having its next move up. So what you'd like to see is move to the highs, back down, and then build its way up to breaking out. That may or may not happen. You know, a lot of times when the market has tipped its hand, which I think it did yesterday, that strong demand bouncing up here, I don't know if we'll go all the way back down. I don't know if people are aware yet that this is a very bullish move. I think they are. Seems pretty obvious to me that this is quite a bullish move on BTC and does set up a move to higher prices. So in an ideal world, you'd like to see it build more value around there. Maybe in this instance it means it has to go to the highs. Because if it goes to the highs, you know, people who would have panicked and sold yesterday are probably FOMOing back in or getting close to that. So if it took the highs, that might be a place for them to get flushed out, back down, we go again, and then it breaks out. Possibly. This is all just ideal. This is what I would like to see from a reaccumulation perspective. We may not get that. So if we're not going to get that, you're just going to see go back to the higher time frame. If we're not going to get that, you're just going to see Bitcoin taking that nice reversal candle on the daily and just using that as a springboard towards an all-time high break. Because I do think that once it gets above 68.5, there's nothing stopping it past 70. It might stop at 70, and if it doesn't, all-time high's coming. Now again, that might be where it pulls back. Don't know if it's going to be the big breakout that everyone's hoping for yet, but we'll see. Overall though, very good. You can't complain. ETH, much weaker. Had a nice little bounce off that old order block actually. And, you know, I would say ETH needs to sort itself out a bit. It's sort of still in the middle of nowhere. Wouldn't have a strong opinion on that. Solana should have had a nice reversal. Yeah, it did. So Solana actually has quite a nice... there. I mean, that is about as clean as you can get in terms of a retest of the old value area. So came down into the old value area, wicked right down into it, closed above it and holding above it. Certainly showing much more strength than it did last time it tried to be up here. I would still say that for Sol then, if you're looking at that, you want to see this level now giving way and then becoming a clear uptrend. But can't fault Sol from that perspective. Talked about Sol though on altcoin request streams, so check that out. Stablecoin market cap, just looking out of interest, yeah, still ticking higher. Dollar, having started to break down is, yeah, I think this is just a temporary stopover before it continues lower. Stock market, I think it's now going to go into its pre-election chop. So I do think there's another push down to come first. I'd say probably one more push down and then it'll start to rally and it'll chop around until the election. That will also coincide probably with a nice crypto rally, because crypto weakness has not been influenced by stocks weakness as much. Tells you basically crypto was oversold and is ready to go. Yesterday was the first time I saw people confident about talking about the top of Nvidia, which means we're probably due for a rally soon, right? I said this on the altcoin request stream as well. People are so afraid to ever call anything a top. That was clearly a topping candle. Whether it's for a day or a week or a whole cycle, we don't know. But that was clearly a topping candle, but nobody wants to call it. That's clearly a complacency bounce. Nobody wants to call it. They're all afraid to call anything bearish because they've just been fucking pile-drived for 2 years by being bears. Then, once it broke down to here yesterday and you had that really bad day, people were very, very quick to say, oh, top's in Nvidia, I called the top, blah, blah, blah. First of all, you didn't call shit. And this is like stocks Twitter. They're all like, now all the bears are crawling out of the woodwork. And so probably that's a sign of some kind of, you know, squeeze to come, even if it's just that. But we'll see. Anyway, stock sentiment really done a 180. I think the fear and greed for stocks hit like under 40. Yeah, hit fear 39. And so that's about it. That's about it. Nice recovery day. What you want to see from here is more consolidation. That's the cliff note. And then we have core PCE price index there. And that's coming out at the usual time, 12:30. And we'll see how that number comes in. What else? That's about it. That inflation number will be important to the market. The market, by the way, yeah, with the GDP yesterday, so obviously GDP came out and it was 2.8%. The expectation of 2. That's like a growing, that's above expectation growth for the economy, which is very unexpected, I would say. As most people probably thought the economy would continue to cool off a little bit, which would dampen expectations a little and give us a little bit to kind of pause and think about moving towards the next Fed meeting. That seemed to come in and indicate that there's a strong economy, based on the made-up data. But the made-up data says the economy's strong, and so you might think that would dampen the expectations of a Fed rate cut, but nope. The odds of a rate cut at this meeting have actually increased, right? They've increased to, it was 98% odds of it staying at the current rate last week. In fact, you can check it here. Yeah, a week ago it was 96%. I think before that it was 98. It's now 93. So basically there's a 6-7% chance that we get a cut. So we're obviously probably not going to get a cut, but there is now a 100% chance of rate cuts in September. This had been about 97, 98, as you see here. A week ago, it was 98%. There was a 1.9% chance that rates would stay the same. There is now a 0% chance that rates stay the same. A month ago, there was a 37% chance that rates would stay the same. So just back in June. And so that's what the market's telling you, that they're betting on rate cuts locked in for September. So the rate cutting cycle is going to commence. Should that have any impact on price? No, I wouldn't say so. We have a Coinbase premium here. Right, Coinbase is here, 46. Binance Spot is 44, so a slight premium, but they're both at a premium over perps. Perps are $20 or $30 below, which is good to see, especially when Bitcoin looks like the way it looks. I mean, this is a good setup. In fact, shades of January 2024. I'll go to this chart so you can see. I'll go to a 12-hour chart and you can see, right? So you got a spot premium, you've got price rising, and you've got low funding. So here we had spot premium, we had price rising and consolidating, and we had a spot premium, right? Low funding, spot premium, while price is rising was the early stage of a new rally. Here we've had even more persistent, but since the bottom, we've had continued spot premium. We've got low funding, indicating no signs of major froth yet, and we have price rising. So looks good. Looks good. I'll be watching out for the next breakout, and I'll be digging in today into some of the data. I would go, and I'll finish with this, I would go as far as to say yesterday was a confirmation of a news event failure, bullish, right? Which means we had data that should have been perceived negative by the market, not because a strong economy is bad, but for the market, it was bad, right? So you can see here, if we go right in to where the data actually released, the data released at 12:30 UTC, which is over here, right? Data released, spiked up, down, retest, down. So the initial reaction to the news was sell, sell, and then we got the mother of all reversals, boom, away it goes, closing massively higher. And when you look at that on a zoomed out daily perspective, we had a day that should have indicated potentially negative, because it should have indicated a pushback of rate cuts. Instead, we got a strong economy. Maybe we've further Goldilocks here, where we're threading the needle with inflation coming down and economy staying good. And the market finished higher. So bears, like, that's really all bears had to hope for yesterday, was something like this and then a move down. Price tried to go down and then didn't, came back. So you can see this value area, this 67k is the important level. If we close today's daily above that, back inside this level again, I think we're going to go to the upper end 70k value area. Can trade that on lower time frames. I'll talk about that a little bit on trade of the day. But overall, I think Bitcoin's given all the signs and signals that it wants to go higher. And the reaction after yesterday's move was the clearest indication of that. And we defended the 4-hour trend. If you remember, I don't know, it was yesterday, the day before, I was looking at this. We flipped the 4-hour trend bullish and we came back down into a retest of the bands. I said there's at times you can even go below them. We didn't even do that. Held and defended the 4-hour trend. I'd be looking at any pullback into maybe the 50 from here, just a little bit of consolidation to see where we go next. But I mean, overall, this is really good. Really good. I think we're going to go probably quite a bit higher. We had a, where are we? Go to the 1 hour. Options expiry is behind us as well. That happened at 8 a.m., which is just an hour ago. So we bounced and squeezed all the way right back to 67. If you remember, 67 was the key level for options going into today. It was one of the higher options levels. And we squeezed right up into that. Now that OPEX is done, we'll see how price unpins from here. I wouldn't jump into longs necessarily here, even though I think it probably can squeeze to the highs. I would wait for, you don't want to buy into these straight up moves, just like this. You want to wait for some consolidation, see where it goes. End of the month coming up as well, and start of the new month. There could be some front running of August from there. But yeah, higher time frame, all looks good. Defending those levels, very, very good. Not breaking down, very, very good. Even with low inflows, Bitcoin still rising. ETH, another day of outflows, to be expected. Grayscale have already dumped 1.2 billion. Let's go. And that's it. GM. See you later on the casual Friday stream, 4 p.m. UTC.